Heroin use was a problem back in the 60s and 70s, but then it faded when cocaine and then crack became the drugs of choice. Now the heroin trade is at an all-time high. Brad Johansson joins us now with a focus on the killer drug that has moved out of the city and into the suburbs. Brad.
Yeah, supply and demand works in every marketplace, including drugs. Heroin is in huge supply. It's cheap. Quality is high. And the demand, something we've never seen in the suburbs before. How do we know? Because at a record rate, people are dying to use it.
It's it right now.
Because it's cheap?
Because it's cheap, because it's powerful, because it has a gripping effect on you physically and mentally.
Jade was a progressive addict. Alcohol, marijuana, LSD, and coke, and then a dealer to get money for his next high, until this relative of a local politician got caught in a DEA bust. Still, 4 months in jail didn't scare him straight. And prescription drugs then led him in search of the ultimate high. You sound like you've done a bunch.
Absolutely.
Is heroin the best high?
Yeah, I would say heroin's probably the best high.
Which is why it's an epidemic.
Yeah.
You can find it in any suburb, and it's not really like you hold a sign that you're looking for it, but I think if you're in that mindset, you can find it.
And what Matt found isn't your 70s smack.
Heroin was really big back then, but it was all inner city, and the quality of heroin was about 9% pure. Today, it's certainly spread way out from the inner city, and now is more like 50 or 60% pure.
My family found me overdosed in my house, unconscious, not breathing. The paramedics had to revive me.
Your family?
Yeah, my 15-year-old daughter, my wife.
Bad if you OD on heroin, worse if more opiates are mixed in. It's roulette.
This is clandestine-made fentanyl in Mexico that is used to enhance the high of heroin. So it can be extremely dangerous when you think it's 100 times more powerful than morphine. So depending on how much you put in that batch and what stage that an addict is in, they can certainly shoot up and overdose and die with it.
The paramedics shot Matt with the emergency drug Narcan. From the brink of death back to life in an instant. A rock-bottom wake-up call? Well, rarely.
The next day I got up knowing what that stuff was, and I used the rest of it. That's the insanity behind the disease of addiction.
Matt was hooked on pills first, OxyContin from the doctors, but the FDA has cracked down on prescriptions. Legal drugs are a little harder to come by. Jackie found her heroin easy before she had her daughter taken away by child services and stood on a bridge ready to jump.
I lost everything. I ended up homeless, living on the streets again, strung out on heroin.
She was more fearful of surviving than dying.
I just felt like a shell of a human being, even more so than I already did. My purpose in living was kind of gone. I just couldn't get high enough.
She stepped down from the bridge and walked in search of what every addict desperately wants to find. Hope.
But I remember I did something different that day, and I went to a meeting and I opened that up and I shared that. And I was scared to death. I was terrified. I had to expose myself for me, not you know, and you guys loved me. You didn't make fun of me.
Ivan Fask, now 32 years clean, runs the Serenity House in Price Hill, a live-in recovery house.
We're trying to get the mainstay of the population to understand that addiction is a disease or a disorder, and it's not curable but treatable.
Helping others recover is now Matt's employment. Same is true for Jade, who has a 5-year-old son with no memory of what Daddy used to be, and a wife that wasn't sure she believed in hope anymore.
It was one of the hardest things. I haven't talked about this in a while. It was hard, and she wasn't happy.
And what would your wife say about you now?
She loves me. She loves who I am. She knows who I am today.
And Jackie, with a daughter and a son now working in home health care, trying to answer the question, how do you get from heroin to hope?
I know the level of commitment that it takes to stay clean, and I am very willing to rise to the occasion.
So if it's treatable, how do we do that? The best answers yet may be coming from the suburbs, a government program that's having remarkable success combining law enforcement with recovery houses. More on that tomorrow.
Brad, thank you. And Local 12 News will present a town hall discussion on the heroin epidemic. It's coming up Wednesday, March 11th at 7 p.m. It'll be broadcast live on Channel 12.2, the CW, Star 64. Oh, that is the CW, I apologize. It will originate from Mason Middle School on Mason Montgomery Road, and the public is invited.